What we can eat that's safe to eat is not a bunch of farmed fish.
So this is what's wrong with the state of California and the conservation movement. They think that if they just kick everybody out and control it, that it's somehow better. And it's not.
You can't have these kind of leaders and expect to have prosperity and clean waters. Kelp's down 90% from historic levels.
What are fishermen saying about the runoff from the LA fires?
All that toxic soot in the creeks, in the waterways, it ended up on the beach. We had a rain event. It all pushed out into Santa Monica Bay, and they did nothing.
And they're destroying people's families, their lives, their livelihoods. It's a freaking disaster.
You can't get raw milk.
But go ahead and buy 60 gallons of glyphosate. No one's going to question you. I'm Nicole Shanahan. Welcome to Back to the People podcast, which highlights the growth of a movement uniting America, where our government is free from corporate capture and where we give voice back to the American public. Miles Wallace. So you're a real life fisherman.
Yeah.
The kind that owns the company, owns the boat, drives the boat, jumps in the water, gets the fish, kills the fish, brings everything to shore, and delivers it to packaging.
I like the sound of that.
That's the real deal.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So your company, Open Ocean Seafood, you operate here in Santa Barbara, and you go between here and the Channel Islands, right?
Mostly.
That's your, what do you call that, territory, region?
Right. Yeah. We fish the Channel Islands mostly. We venture up the coast, down the coast a little bit, but the Channel Islands, including all the way down to San Clemente Island, San Nicolas, Santa Cruz, Santa Rosa, San Miguel Island, and then just perimeter fishing grounds all around those islands.
When did you start the company?
I think I made a DBA in 2013 or something, maybe a little earlier than that. It's when I got my boat up and running and I started fishing, and then I won my urchin permit that same year. It all kind of happened by the grace of God, because I don't know how I would have made it as a fisherman without my urchin permit.
We are definitely going to talk a lot about sea urchin because they're my favorite food. If you know me, you know I have a obsession. Some would say unhealthy obsession with uni, sea urchin. But we will talk about that in a minute. I have a question that I wanted to ask you. I haven't asked you yet. We've been friends for a little while now. And I believe that there is a gene that makes people obsessed with fishing. Like, some people are just so obsessed with it. It's their life. They get incredible joy out of it. They literally cannot live without it. And seeing these people catch a fish is like watching somebody win the Super Bowl. Like, the joy, it seems like it is genetic. I feel similarly about horses. Like, if I don't have a horse in my life, or I'm like, it goes too long between times where I'm interacting with a horse, I just don't feel right. Like, things get dysregulated, and that obsession, it's all I think about. Is this real with fishermen? Like, it is something that you just feel at a visceral level in every cell in your body, like you have to catch a fish?
100%. I think you're talking about me when you say all that. I would say that and surfing, I have those same feelings. It's like you and your horses, surfing, fishing. That's me. I know some people who
you had it since you're a kid, right?
Oh, yeah.
Your earliest memory is I want to go fishing, or
exactly. Yeah. And then it's so much like that. I mean, the dopamine's real. I have a good friend who made it out alive from doing the Oxycontin stuff and as a kid, but he was a fisherman first. And then when he cleared the Oxycontin drug addiction, he just went to fishing, and he's just a slayer. It just
heals you.
Yeah. And what he told me one day. It
completes you.
What he told me one day is tug is the new drug. And I'm like, okay, yeah. Well, for me, I was tying flies as a kindergartner, and I was taking him out to the river and trying to catch whatever I could with him and stuff. And my parents were like, wow, he's special with his full-on one-track mind fishing. And then I found surfing, and so they went hand in hand. I could go surfing, I could catch a halibut off the beach. It just was too cool. It was just complete, and I did it right here in my backyard.
Yeah.
I you
You
know
grew up in this area,
yeah,
right?
solving.
Really?
Solving.
Wow.
And we would go to Gaviota, and it was just
Yeah.
awesome. You go out on the pier and fish all day and surf in the shore pound and just go up the creek, do all kinds of stuff as kids around here. It was a special place to grow up.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. People don't realize this. I mean, they see Santa Barbara uni on the menu, right? You go to Nobu, they're like, we have, uni from Japan. It's Hokkaido usually, right? And Santa Barbara uni. And like, those are the two locations for this fine orange delicacy that people for thousands of years have been consuming this food. And then you look at it for the first time. I remember the first time I saw uni, I was like, that doesn't look like it should belong here on the planet. I've never seen anything like it. It's not fish, it's not meat. It's just this gooey thing that seems to melt like as it contacts air. What is sea urchin?
Oh man, am I gonna blow it right now? Is it an echinoderm?
I know it's related to
Technically,
starfish,
yeah, an echinoderm.
but it doesn't look like starfish.
I think I'm saying it wrong, but yeah, it's not an invertebrate, but an echinoderm or something like that. And yeah, and what you're eating are its gonads.
Yeah, I learned that recently, and I've been eating the food much longer than I realized you're eating this creature's gonads. But it's it is kind of a perfect food though. So my understanding is that these little spiny creatures, so you have the shell on the outside and then the gonads on the inside, they eat kelp. So they have to be in cold water, right?
They don't have to be. I think like in Italy, for instance, like
Oh yeah.
in Mediterranean, I think we have just thousands of different kinds of urchin, and I could be wrong, but I think we have purples and reds, and then I've seen some odd different ones that aren't harvestable.
Hmm.
And around here, yeah, they're eating a relatively cold water algae. Like there's many algae that they can eat, and they can even be like carnivorous and eat mussels and
Really?
oh yeah,
I didn't know
they'll
that.
eat anything. So if a dead seal lands on the bottom, they'll eat it.
Okay, my understanding of sea urchin is very different than the
Oh yeah,
reality. I was told that the Coastal Commission of California, the very difficult Coastal Commission, one of the things that they patrol for is sea urchin overgrowth because they eat kelp and they starve out things like abalone. Is that true?
they are right. To just say that all urchins do that is not exactly true. The purple ones they're called perps, and they're really like a light blue color normally, and they do. We had, I do believe it was after Fukushima, we had a really nasty die off of many different things, and we lost like the starfish. It
Yeah.
has like 8 legs, and I don't know the scientific name for that one. But I remember it being pretty prolific, and then it just they melted after Fukushima.
Mm.
Um, then after that, we lost a lot of kelp, and then just there's barren everywhere already, and the purples just came back in mass, and they just coated rocks from, I would say probably like really thick from like 80 feet all the way to the shore.
Yeah.
And there's places where they're still like that, and it looks like just dead bottom. It's sad. But when they get maybe covered by sand, like a
Hmm.
sandbar forms, like during a big swell, they just get covered, and then like they die off, and then maybe like little tips of that reef show back up, and then the
Hmm.
kelp can grow. Then all of a sudden you get this thriving kelp ecosystem on it, and then whatever moves back onto that. There's a lot of places where there's just kelp. There's no urchins at all, and there's not much else. There'll be like thriving palm kelp, green lettuce, sort of algae kelp, which makes urchins really, really edible. but they mostly like to eat macrocystis. So when the macrocystis, the giant kelp, comes back and the palm
Yeah.
kelp's thriving, and then you get that green lettuce, especially near shore, and then say some red urchins or red abalone get introduced, it's just this beautiful garden. It's just something to behold.
Yeah.
Like us as divers, we get to see some magical stuff.
And you're in it because you have to dive in order to pick these guys up. It's not like shrimp where, you put down a cage,
Pot
a
or a
pot,
trap.
or a
Yeah.
trap. Yeah, a trap. You fill that trap with food and then they scurry in there and you pull it all up. So that's how you would catch like crab, right? Or that's how you
Lobster.
you
Yeah.
catch lobster like that. So urchin, you can't quite do that with, right?
No.
So you actually have to swim down and pick them up and put them in a bag and pull them up.
We use a rake. We wear thick gloves. We have heavy wetsuits. We have thick, like jet fin, dive fins, booties on. We're head to toe neoprene pretty much. And then we jump in with heavy weight belt. And half of it's crawling, a lot of it's swimming. But we're low impact. We drop an anchor and then we jump in just ourselves and we just bring a bag and a basket around. And I like to leave my bag and go off and I'm just hovering over the reef and I'm just picking as I go. I just get just the ones that I know are completely legal. I pride myself on not picking shorts. It'd be a dumb thing to get a ticket for. And
What's
then
a short?
just a illegal sized urchin.
What's a
They have to
legal
be
size?
their shell, not the spines, but the
Uh-huh.
shell itself has to measure 3¼ inches from one tip to another. And it's round, so it's like you can measure it in different places. But basically, to be a short picker, you're kind of a kook. So, I don't have any tickets to my name, and I like to keep it that way. I'm really trying hard to be super kosher and just make things like really good with when the fishing game come in onto my boat, like I have nothing to hide. And so being like really on the up and up and just trying to be environmentally conscious and I'm diving these reefs super low impact. I'm just collecting what's legally mine to collect. I have the California sea urchin diving permit, so I'm one of the few. And it creates a different kind of fisherman, a different mentality, because we're actually participating in the underwater world.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell so many fishermen don't go in the water.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just kind of like
this is next
clueless,
level. Like you go in the ecosystem, you're not just on it.
I like to do like an hour dive, and then after that, it's kind of like you can regroup. You usually have a good bag by then. You can, bring it up and tie it off to the boat. You can put it in the fish hold if it's time to leave, or if we're leaving that day. But sometimes we'll do a multiple day trip and we'll collect all those urchins into bags, and then we just string them on a line and have them sitting there floating in their, in the bag we picked them into. And I call that the bag line. So we can kind of pick that thing up at the end of the trip, load it into the well, and come on home. And so in that time, we didn't use bait. We didn't use fish hooks or fish line or anything like that. And it's just a remarkably low impact fishery. We actually I myself haven't been doing it, but I have good friends like Trent and Johnny who they're advocating and really doing the cleanup of purples, and they're participating in multiple programs to clean up spots that
Is purple what I ate the other day with you?
No, those were reds.
Those were reds.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they were like those were premium quality, like large.
Yeah, that reminds me of what I see at like the super high-end
thank you.
Japanese restaurants. It was honestly some of the best I've ever eaten in my life. And you just cracked it out of the shell right in front of me. And within moments, it was like, I was like, this is fresh. It's delicious. It tastes healthy. But now that I know that they don't just eat kelp, so I have been spreading misinformation about uni. I've been going around and telling people it's the most perfect food because all they eat is kelp. And kelp is, one of the most wonderful high vitamin things you can eat, right?
Hmm.
It's vitamin K, there's magnesium. It's just full of folate, really, really high in folate is kelp, which is important for, cellular growth and regeneration. So I've been wrong. I've been telling everybody that that's all they eat.
Iodine, right?
Iodine,
Yeah.
which is really good for you, protects against radiation. So, okay, but if they're eating other things, clearly you don't want to pick one that just ate a dead seal.
No, and that's
So,
rare. That's not going to happen very often, but
okay,
it's a possibility. But
really?
what happens is
Yeah.
that if a squid bed moves in and there's just a high population of squid eggs all in this one spot that the urchins are inhabiting, they're not going to stop and, oh no, I don't eat meat
I
or
had no
whatever.
idea that. I thought they
They're
were
not vegan, or
vegetarians.
vegetarian.
Yeah.
They'll eat squid eggs, and so then a
Dang.
processor might go, hey, that last load, don't go back.
Really? Because
Yeah.
they can tell in the gonad.
They'll like, I think that they'll rot easier, like the urchin itself after
Mm,
eating, something like that. They could rot quicker. So they'll notice it. They might get
yeah.
an odor or something in the processing plant.
So mostly, I'm right. Mostly, if you're going out and eating uni, you're mostly consuming an urchin that has been eating kelp.
Most likely.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Okay, thank God.
Yeah. No, 99% of the time, that's all they're eating. And if they get some little bonus treat, they'll eat it. But that's, probably a rarity.
So, what percent of your business is urchin versus fish? Because I have some beautiful fish in my freezer that you caught. What are the kinds of things that you're catching out here? And I think people think about California, especially Southern California, and that it's like so nice and sunny and beachy. But the reality is the passage between mainland California and Channel Islands gets really hairy really fast, and it is serious ocean out there. So you're doing kind of deep sea fishing
Mm-hmm.
not far off this coast, and it gets gnarly.
I deep drop. Let's just give that for clarity. It's like a deep drop. I deep drop 20 hooks at a time for red rockfish. And
Wow.
that's my target species. Otherwise, we catch some lingcod, some different kinds of flatfish, a lot of boccaccio. And last time we had some boccaccio, they went like 20 pounds, and they're not usually that big. You get some bycatch, like you'll get the cow cod occasionally, and we descend those back instantly. I've got it down where I can just put it back on this weight hookup thing that I have and send that fish right back to depth. And Noah says they live, but I don't know. Seems like they're pretty hammered when they get up, but I'm deploying them back down and I don't see them again. So I hope they're living, all you cow cod out there. But it's cool because when I started fishing the rockfish, 15 years ago or whatever, there were small cow cod and not that many of them, and now they're getting bigger and bigger, and that was an endangered species. And
Is that a good thing?
yeah, it's really good. They're coming back.
That's
We
great.
still catch them, and in the close, like, we have all these regulations. I mean, fishing in California, it's like a myriad of regulations. You can't,
Yeah.
you could be doing something wrong at all times, and you just have to be like really careful and really just kind of take it slow and move into, like, if you decide a new fishery or whatever, just contact the Fish and Wildlife and just talk to them about it, because they'll get you, and those fines are not little. And so
Mhm.
we're sort of just like always under, like, under all these regs and stuff. And so when I'm out there
Yeah.
rockfish fishing, I know what species I can catch and what I can't. And like I said, I descend the ones that I can't, and bring home these beautiful red rockfish, those boccaccio. The lingcods can be really big, and these fish are all living in, like, I'm fishing out near the end of the MLPAs, or the RCAs, which is rockfish conservation areas.
Mhm.
And and there's a certain depth limit, you get to that line and you can't go deeper. And then you have to go past all this water into a whole new area that you can start fishing again. And that's where we do black cod and stuff like that. And that you're fishing in, like if we were in 300 feet to 400 feet for the rockfish, you skip out to like 1,800 feet to 3,500 feet for the black cod. And
Wow.
those fish are amazing. They call that the butterfish.
I love black cod. Miso black cod. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
It's
I bet you've had some good stuff at Nobu. Like probably had like the kind there.
yeah, I mean, like I'll buy some black cod too from the grocery store. And I want to talk about grocery store fish. And black cod's one of these wonderful fish that like it's really hard to mess up as an amateur chef because it just doesn't overcook.
Yeah.
It's so like buttery and stays moist, and like it's really hard to mess up black cod in the kitchen. And then it just tastes phenomenal. Like it tastes as good as like a restaurant chef cooked it because it's just one of these divine creatures that is designed to perfection for us to consume. And kids like it too, like
Yeah.
which is amazing. Kids that are just like, "Ugh," like are like, "Oh, I'll eat some of the black cod." Grocery store fish. One of the biggest debates I hear around the kitchen table in the United States right now is, and people are, I hear it discussed at the grocery store too. What is safe to eat these days? There's crazy high mercury in our waters, which there's several causes for it, but apparently coal burning, especially coal burning from China, has created a massive mercury problem in our oceans. And mercury is a toxin for us to consume. So then they say, don't eat big fish, right? Because they've been in the water longer, and thus have accumulated more mercury. Again, this is, who knows what's real anymore? I don't know. It's so hard to gauge like what is, just, hearsay or old wives' tales and what's actually scientifically proven. But logically, it makes sense that if a fish is bigger, it's been in the ocean longer. If it's eating other fish, it's going to be immersed in a high mercury environment longer. Okay, so that's kind of one of the biggest warnings. Another warning is imported shrimps and things from like Thailand, injected with all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Salmon that's injected with different colors and dyes at the grocery store. That is another odd one. Another one's coming down the pike is lab-grown fish, which there's a fancy restaurant in the Bay Area that's now going to be selling it. It's just, so we've got, fish shopping, not easy, really, really complicated. What would you, oh, and then you have like the geoengineering stuff, which spills, crap from our atmosphere into the oceans. It's really tough. Being a consumer of food today is super hard. Fish is one of the hardest topics because at least with like, meat, you can meet the farmer, the grower, get an idea of like, if you really look hard enough, you can get an idea of, what antibiotics were used, vaccines were used on it. Like you can get to know your farmer way easier than you can get to know your fisherman. It's almost impossible to get to know your fisherman. But that's why I think this is, I'm really excited to share your wisdom with our audience as people can get to know you. Like you're out here every day. You've sent me videos of you on your boat. Like it's just been an amazing experience to hear about what this is, like this, what this whole fish industry is about. But from your perspective, how should somebody navigate the grocery store?
Yeah, that's huge concern. And I hear you. I'm a dad. I'm trying to do the same thing with my beef, and luckily there's growers right here. And there's some incredible farmland, grassland where the beef is just incredible. And so because I do know my producer on the beef, I feel blessed. I have a whole freezer full of meat. So that's what I would do is find a reputable fisherman and order a big old supply of fish and have them vacuum seal it, flash freeze it, and stick it in your freezer. That's really the best thing. Other than that, you could go, second or third party or whatever, and find somebody who does like, you could order your fish from somebody like, Santa Barbara Fish Market or Get Hooked, or you go to the Saturday markets on the pier are amazing. Like I know those guys, and they're catching like really quality fish.
Saturday market at the
Saturday market.
pier. Santa Barbara Pier?
Santa Barbara Pier, like right at it's called the Navy Pier, and it's the main pier in the Santa Barbara Harbor. And like Dominic's down there, Connor Street, like we got some really good, like health conscious guys. They're like quality conscious guys. They're trying to deliver like the best fish possible, and that's what I try and do. But being a dad, it's like I find it easier to wholesale most of my goods. But when somebody has like the wherewithal, they come to me and say, hey, I want like 300 pounds of fillets, that's kind of a big order, like 100 pounds at a time, and then they just take that order and
like
put
a
it in the
cow
freezer.
share. It's
Exactly.
like a fisherman share, fish share. Yeah.
And so, people come to me earlier in the preseason. They'll like tell me like, hey, I'm going to need X number of lobsters for Thanksgiving dinner. Or
when's lobster season in California?
It opens October 1st.
October 1st is when it opens. Okay. Yeah, your wife Sarah is like, he's leaving for lobster season, and it's like a big deal.
Yeah, I go a lot, and it's so much work to get prepped for it and everything. But yeah, I'm home a lot too. I get to come home, and it's not like I leave for Alaska for Bristol Bay or something in the summer and gone for 3 months or
I've heard about
2.5 or something.
Those
guys are just getting back. They're just getting
jobs.
back right now. Those guys are legends. They go up there and they catch a bunch of really good quality salmon, and that run is incredible. Trump just like permanently protected that.
Great.
The Bristol Bay fishery there. And so
these are responsible operations, right?
Oh, these guys.
And this is what I've learned about the American fishing industry is that when you have these family-owned fishing businesses, you get the utmost respect for the stock, the ocean, the ecosystem, because the livelihoods, the multi-generational livelihoods rely on that.
Mm-hmm.
So for the government to look at its domestic fishing industry and just say, I'm going to back the family-owned fishing businesses, that is a win for literally everybody. It's a win for the environmentalist. It's a win for the government. It's a win for the consumer. It's a win for our ocean ecosystem.
Let's put it this way. When you buy imported fish, especially when you don't know its origins, like its country of origin, all you're doing is exporting the environmental impact to that country. It's kind of like EVs. You're like, we're not going to burn gasoline in our cars, diesel in our cars here in United States, but we're going to get EVs where we're going to like make a kid jump in a mine in the Congo and pull out
lithium. Yeah.
Well, they're getting cobalt,
but
then there's like all these, horrible repercussions from that. And we're not seeing the emissions coming out of our tailpipes, but the environmental damage is overseas. It's somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So back to fish, what we can eat that's safe to eat is not a bunch of farmed fish. It's not good for them to be eating, anybody to eat farmed fish, unless you can prove me wrong and tell me like there's some super ultra awesome way of doing it. But basically you're hurting the environment that the fish farms in. You're having to fish twice, 3 times, all kinds of hard to feed those fish. Like you gotta put in so much effort, and you're probably using another company to go catch all the bait fish that you grind up to put into meal, and then you add all your antibiotics and whatever and dyes and stuff so that the flesh comes out the color you want. And then there's all the disease. And then I hear that they just spray chemical right onto the water right above the fish to like combat like sea lice and stuff. So I'm not a fan. And I hear about what's happened in Washington where like Atlantic salmon got loose in the Cook's Bay. It's like, what, why are you guys doing that? Like, it's just really weird, like Bill Gates stuff that like, why are we why are we like this? Like, why do we have to follow him? Like, why don't we have philanthropists, billionaire guys that are like doing really smart stuff, like planting kelp and like,
Hmm.
just really, bolstering us for, like helping us so we don't have to fish as hard and we get good prices at the dock and you know, we get subsidies like instead of somebody else somewhere else getting, subsidized to do some crackpot scientific scheme.
The salmon farmed fish from Norway, I'm seeing a lot of it at the grocery store. And you hold it up to the Atlantic salmon, which just seems a little bit more stressed. So the Norwegian salmon farmed fish is oftentimes fattier. It almost tastes like cod, honestly, when you
Hmm.
cook it up. Is that okay to eat?
I'm not the expert. I don't
Okay.
know. I really don't. And I feed my kids what I catch.
Right. So when you're going to the grocery store, you're looking at what's behind the counter, and you're seeing the shrimp from Mexico. You're not feeding your kids that stuff.
There are some shrimps that I'm like super pumped on. Like it just, Mexico shrimp. I know they're coming from like a farm. It's inland water, and they're, sometimes you're just like, wow, that looks really good. I'm just gonna eat it.
Yeah.
But mostly, I'm not out shopping for that.
Yeah.
And if I know that Jeff Hepp just went out and caught some shrimp, I'm gonna be knocking on his gunnels like, hey chef, let me get a pile of that shrimp. It's
Yeah.
incredible stuff. It comes from right here.
Here.
Yeah.
We have shrimp here?
We have prawns. We have shrimp. Good luck
prawns
getting
here?
a prawn from here. Yeah, like I know multiple prawn fishermen, and they don't ever have it. They already have everything they catch is already sold. So there's
Oh, it's
some
already sold.
gone. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
I was in British Columbia last month and pulled my first spot shrimp pod out, and
I saw those pictures.
it was
That was
amazing.
cool.
It was like so exciting, and for the first time in my life I was like, I kind of get it.
Hmm.
This idea of harvesting from the ocean, and it was beautiful. I mean, these shrimps were just so healthy looking, and I don't know. I for a second there, I think I get it. I kind of understand why this profession is so exciting.
It's exciting, and it'll also stress you out. It going back to how we were as kids, and it'll never leave me. I think the only thing that I could possibly do other than be a fisherman, I don't know. I kind of like how the ranchers, like, they have some open land and stuff
Yeah.
like that, but that's only a small part of me that can do that. I think when I go on like the snowboard trips and stuff, I last like 15 days or something inland, and then I got to get back.
To the ocean.
Yeah.
Calling all curious minds. Thrill seekers, deep thinkers, debate lovers, story chasers. Those who question everything and those who just love a great read. At Skyhorse Publishing, everything is on the table. And we mean everything. We stand for free thought, bold ideas, and fearless storytelling. Whether it's uncovering the truth, teaching a new skill, or sparking inspiration, we publish books that matter. With 12,000 plus titles in print and 400 more on the way, Skyhorse is one of the most dynamic independent publishers. We challenge the status quo. We bring every perspective to the table, giving readers a place to explore, question, and grow. Want the truth behind the headlines? Read Rand Paul's Deception, The Great COVID Cover-Up. And pull back the curtain on power and public health with RFK Jr.'s The Real Anthony Fauci. Work hard, move fast, have fun, and change lives for the better. That's the Skyhorse way. Go to skyhorsepublishing.com/BTP to learn more. Skyhorse Publishing. Get reading because the sky's the limit.
Let's talk about the fish here is good. You feel pretty good about it. What about things like worms and parasites in the fish? Like, how do you spot that out there?
Well, there's some species that actually are more susceptible to those parasites. But I like my red rockfish. It's called red vermilion, and
Mhm.
it's they are very tough fish, and they don't often have worms in them. And I think that if you freeze almost any of it, you're good after
Are
that.
you freezing them on the boat, or how do
No,
you
I just ice them.
you ice them?
hmm
Okay.
Yeah, the boat, I put on about 1,000 pounds of ice. I try and do about a half a pound to a pound of ice per fish, depending on how long I'm going to go out for. I just
Mhm.
don't want it to be melted down at all to where you could see the fish. It's just they're completely encased in ice when I bring them in.
Okay. And then what happens once they come to shore?
Then I offload them to, Santa Barbara Fish Market takes them, Get Hooked takes them. I take them and I'll do my own process and sell them to whoever wanted them, and
Yeah.
I've cut the gill out there, so I've bled them. I guess that's kosher. Basically, you've bled the fish,
I have no
right?
idea.
I
Yeah.
don't know why I'm trying to, parallel it to
Well,
land-based stuff, but
yeah.
but basically what you're doing is there's no other way to dispatch the fish than to kill it yourself. So I cut a gill and
Mhm.
put it back in the water in a a well, like in just ocean temp water, and they bleed out. There's another step that I'll take for people or markets that really want it. It's called ikejime and shinkejime. And so ikejime is when you spike the fish's brain, and then the shinkejime is when you run a wire down their spine. It sounds
Wow.
gruesome, but then you're taking that fish out at a different level. Like you're not just letting it bleed out and
And
die.
struggle and have cortisol,
Yeah.
stress shooting through its body.
Take that
Yeah.
away, and so then the rigor mortis is way less and the fish stay more limp, and that is
And
definitely
these are Japanese practices,
it
I
is.
take it. Yeah.
Yeah, my white sea bass, halibut, really good fisherman Travis Meyer, he sells to the Lark, and the Lark buys all of his fish. I think there's other people who buy his fish too, but mostly the Lark. Industrial Eats was eating or buying his fish, and it's just top tier fish. And this guy is just one of those animals that we talked about, like that has that gene, right?
Yeah.
Different
Yeah.
kind of people, right? You're just-
It's wired. Yeah, the brain is wired
yeah,
differently and sees the ocean completely differently than like the
100%.
average person.
Yeah. So he was one I started fishing. We were trying to do a tuna trip, and it turned into a halibut trip. And then he was handling all the fish, caught like 12 halibut on an overnighter. It wasn't that good, but he had the market, and they were all ordered up as ikejime, shikejime. So we're, spiking them and running the wire down their spine, and they did this like little squirm, and then they're done. They're dead, and it just you're dispatching them. I often say a prayer when I'm doing it, just in my head. I thank them, thank the gods, and just, you know, I feel like the way I can do it is better than most people who like handle fish, like basically like a big trawl boat or something, and
Yeah.
you got all that bycatch and stuff.
That's not allowed in here anymore. Like the big net fishermen, because that's the kind of stuff that's devastating Asia, for instance, is the big net fishing boats that run off like the South China Sea. Devastated those waterways.
Yeah, and they're trying to get down to like the Galapagos and stuff like that. Do you see those aerial footages of just like all the lights at night, like just
Yeah.
in the international waters off of the Galapagos? And they're just sitting there, just taking whatever's passing, because that's like one of the most robust, biodiverse places in the world.
Well, and they're
still.
catching everything in those nets, right?
Everything, yeah.
And they're pulling it up, and even though they try to maybe throw some of the stuff out that's not supposed to be in there,
It doesn't survive.
It doesn't survive.
It's been injured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just devastating.
Yeah.
But so that used to happen off the coast of California, right? But it's not allowed.
Well, we pushed gill netting to the brink of extinction. Like, there's only a couple guys who are even doing it anymore.
Yeah.
And honestly, like those guys, they don't have a lot of bycatch, and their qualities may be like a little lesser, but I know for sure that there's guys who handle their catch like perfectly.
Yeah.
They keep them on ice and all that. But yeah, the gill netting, they really frowned upon it. A lot of guys left the industry. They kind of bottom out and stuff. But yeah, the bottom draggers, that's not very common. And then like the big mass trawlers, I think they still do that up in like Oregon, Northern California for rockfish. But
Right.
I don't think it's to the extent that it was we've had a major rebound on rockfish. Like they opened this whole outer bank up in Northern California, Oregon. It was like to the brink, and they closed it completely. And that's where they had like the cow cod and the yellow eye and stuff like that. And they're really worried about the extinction of the cow cod. And yeah, now they opened it up like a decade early, and
That's great.
and they're fishing it again.
I've heard similar stories in Hawaii as well, where, they've really gotten behind more traditional ways of harvesting from the ocean and actually reopened areas to fishermen because it was actually beneficial to the ecosystem.
Okay, cool.
But they kicked out the big commercial giant fishing boats, protected the area for a short amount of time, and then reopened it to family fishing.
Artesian efforts, right? Like small time guys who go and rod and reel, hook and line these fish, and they just take care of their catch so perfectly. There's no waste.
Yeah, there's no waste.
What about I saw Hawaii, they recently started a point of origin labeling for their fish because I don't know if you saw that ahi that they were like
no, I didn't
bagging
see that,
and gassing and doing all this weird stuff with like outdated pokey. That's what it was. It's like pokey that was coming into market, and it was like I saw some of the footage of what they would do to it. It would be like this brown piece of meat, and they gas it and dye it, and it'd look amazing afterwards. But it was like pretty much on the brink of being rotten before.
That's
so
disgusting.
Look into that. It's a really
people are
cool
eating
one.
that raw.
Oh yeah, and it's just the most horrible fish to eat raw, like rotten like that. It's like you're hoping for something that was just caught that morning, and then it's served up to you maybe that night or the next day.
Yeah.
And that's why you go to Hawaii, and that's what you should be getting. But instead, it's like it's old product, and it's
fake. They're lying
fake.
To you. It's a fraud.
So Hawaii,
it's fish fraud.
They just came up with this point of origin thing, and that's what I wanted to bring up. Is like what percentage of uni
is dyed?
No.
Okay.
What percentage of Santa Barbara uni do you think is actually from our coastal waters?
Oh, don't tell me people are buying Santa Barbara uni not from Santa Barbara.
So I started using ChatGPT, and it's saying, and this is like unsubstantiated evidence, but like it's all like, what do they call it? I can't remember what chat said about it, but 90% of it isn't even from our waters.
Where is it from? Imports.
Baja, Chile, Russia.
And they're selling it as Santa Barbara uni?
There's a company, this guy Arnold, he has a company that's called Santa Barbara Uni. So anything he gets, it's just Santa Barbara Uni. He doesn't even have to like change the name, right?
This is really scary. I didn't know you were allowed to do that.
I sell to MMP, it's Marihide Marine Products, and they've always been really good. But they swear up and down they don't use the stuff that's coming in from Mexico, from Baja, that's flooding our markets. But
if you do that with meat, that's considered fraud. Like
no.
Yes, with meat, meat you actually have to label where it's from properly, don't you?
No, all you have to do is repackage it. Then you can put
really?
Yeah.
I guess there was that story of somebody repackaging Tasmanian beef as grown in California.
Lazy J Meats, I follow him on Instagram, and I like his style. Like, he's blasting everything negative that's happening to the beef industry, and he's a big part of it, obviously. And he's calling them out. He's saying how
that's right. If it's somewhat processed
or repackaged,
or I didn't realize repackaging it was considered reprocessing.
Any added value.
Oh my gosh! So packaging counts. So you don't even have to like cut it into a different shape or process it. It can say American grown. I know there is an effort at the USDA to change that labeling of origin for beef. But how do you get away with it? Is it the same rules then for fish? If you just repackage it, you can say it's from Santa Barbara if it's repackaged.
I mean, they're not even really, they're just processing it to the point where it's in their little trays and stuff. I mean, this is for the
Who
uni.
regulates that?
And this is all stuff that as an adult now, I'm starting to really pay attention to, and I'm trying to educate myself.
Yeah.
And so,
Because you're competing. I mean, you're doing the real deal out there, putting the wetsuit on, which already is a lot of effort, putting on the gloves, getting your license renewed regularly and swimming to the bottom and picking up these urchins in Santa Barbara. So you're competing against Chilean Santa Barbara uni.
Yeah. Chilean, Russian. Baja. Baja's easy. And it's just like they come across the border. I guess they don't even get like any kind of tariffs or anything. And they just, it's so inexpensive for Cooperativa to just bring it straight across. So, but then the Cooperativa is like, okay, I'm like a little bummed on that. Like I am. It's really kind of upsetting to be called off. Like last week, there was 5 days of completely workable weather. We only get 5 days a week during the summer to work. We can't go on the weekends. I would have worked all 5 days. It was beautiful. It was flat. It was gorgeous water. And I got to work 2 days. That's what my processor would let me go do.
Really?
Because there's a glut. There's just so much product out there. And right now it's Baja. I remember at one point it was Washington uni was starting to show up, which, okay, that's technically domestic. But who knows where it comes from.
And they're calling it Santa Barbara uni? That's bullshit.
I know.
Oh my God.
And so I am trying to educate myself and stuff, but these numbers are crazy. And I just found this out today. We've been in this group chat, a bunch of these divers, and we're just kind of bantering back and forth a lot. And Woody's hilarious. I had no idea it was 90%. That's fraud, right? But it goes further. It's like,
but your processors
it's taking money out of my
that,
pocket,
right?
Like,
so maybe it's
processors are being asked. I'm sorry for interrupting. Literally, I'm asking him to. Well, it's in a text, so it's not to his face. But I'm like, hey, are you using Mexican uni? And he's like, no, I won't support it. I'm like, thank you. He's all, but I still can't have you go all 5 days next week because we're in a glut. And I don't know how many boats even went. So like that uni is taking money out of our economy, like out of our pockets. I can't go to work on those days. It's not, it needs to be addressed.
So one of the things that my favorite ranchers are doing, they're doing direct to consumer. Are you legally allowed to sell direct to consumer your uni? But you have to figure out how to package it.
So I can get licensed to do just about any of that. But to have a processing facility like they have, like MMP has a state-of-the-art processing facility down in Long Beach. And to do anything like that, it takes so much overhead, so much investment to get that going. And so for me, I'm not going to try and compete against that. But what if I could get my legislators to go, oh God, I see where you're at. Let's address this, right? Then that's something that
labeling is like such a powerful thing in food production.
Mm-hmm.
It's really amazing because the consumer is always looking for brand recognition in their food. Always. And that's been true. I mean, that's why the WTO exists. Right? Like labeling, origin kind of brands, like champagne was like the first one that really was the big one. Like you can't call white sparkling wine from California champagne. You just cannot, because the WTO exists and you will be sued if you try to, label something as champagne that's not from Champagne, France. So it is really, really important, especially with such high labor and such sought after product, such as Santa Barbara uni. Like it is a very, very, very sought after product. Where do you start? Like, where would you go? Like, who would you go to next? Like, you have this chat now. You guys are all like up in arms, finding out 90% of the stuff labeled Santa Barbara uni is not from Santa Barbara. And you guys are getting, basically price controlled in the market.
Well, okay. So then we have that, and then we have these NGOs that have their foot in the door with the fish and wildlife, and we're fighting to keep our fishing grounds. We're gonna get hit
What are the
with like,
NGOs doing to you?
well, like I don't know, name one, and they're part of like this petition process that I don't know how they came up with this idea, but like anybody could petition to create more MLPAs. Like why they let that out to like the public is just beyond
What's
me.
an MLPA?
Oh, I'm sorry, marine life protected area.
Oh, okay.
And so we have RCAs, rock cod conservation areas. We have MLPAs, marine life protected areas. We have MPAs, marine protected area. And there's just different definitions of what they do, but most of them keep, you from commercially fishing in that area. So
Even if you're using the most tried and true,
well, even urchin diving. Like
Even
we can't
urchin
even we
diving?
can't even go into these closures to pick urchins, and it's ridiculous because they talk about how much urchins kill the kelp. It's really the purple urchin, and that spread after Fukushima. That's when it happened, and basically that's what they pump out at the universities and stuff. The public opinion is that urchins are bad, right? Well, red urchins aren't. They don't do the same widespread carpeting of and create barren areas like the perps do. But regardless, there's things that we as divers could be mitigating, and that's the spread of these purples.
Well, that's always been encouraged. I
And-
didn't realize
but the
that
solution-
they're now locking urchin diving.
Yeah, the
out.
MLPAs it's just zero take. But instead of saying, okay, you guys can go in to these areas and you can give us 500 pounds per day per diver, but you need to bring out 300 pounds of purples. That's an easy solution to combat the purple problem, right?
Yeah.
Or, or how about when you're going out, take this green gravel technology we have that's being used elsewhere in the world, full on, is that, you could spread this gravel when you go to your fishing grounds. You could be spreading this gravel that will grow macrocystis, right? Simple, right? But they're not funding that. They're not going to fund that. It's like what they keep doing is the NGOs, the universities, they keep just studying everything. They've studied everything for days, and there's nobody who's like going, this would be a really good solution, except for unless they're like, hey, the solution is another MLPA. Like where I frequent, out at Santa Rosa Island, I'm like faced with a closure that could happen in the next couple of years. Like it would pretty much phase out my traditional fishing grounds. I'd be out, and that's what they're pushing on me. So you're asking.
This reminds me a lot of these really stupid NGOs that are causing our fire issues in California. Reminds me, it's such an analogous situation. They kick out the farmers who are leasing the land, grazing it, using tried and true grazing practices for land management.
Point Reyes.
Oh, this is everywhere across California. And this has been going on for a few decades now, where they just keep stripping land management. Age old. These are like time-tested land management practices. And they're just like, it's going to be wild. Humans, bad. We don't even care if they're doing good practices. We want them off. And we want this just to be public access, wild. We're going to rewild everything. Well, that's what's, you can see outside. This is a giant plume of smoke from the Gifford fire about an hour from here, what is it? San Padres National Forest?
Los
Padres. Los Padres National Forest. And it's 65,000 acres. And it's just a beast of a fire because NGOs over the last few decades have just kicked people off the land and from being able to manage the land and having the responsibility. This is what the NGOs are really stupid about. They don't understand that when people are responsible for something, whether it be a business, like a fishing business or a ranching business or a little cabin they've put out there, right? They are going to take care of the land around it because they have an incentive to keep it from burning down. Like you as a fisherman have an incentive to protect Santa Rosa Island. You are incentivized. Rather than leveraging that incentive, our government's so dumb and has gotten so egomaniacal, just maniacal about like the power of controlling other human beings. This is what's wrong with the state of California and what's wrong with the conservation movement is they think that if they just kick everybody out and control it, that it's somehow better. And it's not. That is wrong. It is only better when you have stewardship tied and incentivized to the incentives of the ecosystem. The ecosystem has its own incentives. So it's actually perfect alignment. And these conservation groups are wrong. And they're destroying people's families, their lives, their livelihoods. They're destroying health. It's a freaking disaster. And, if you think you're doing conservation by kicking family farms off the land and fishermen out of the water, you should look in the mirror and just know you are wrong and you should be ashamed of yourself.
Jeff Mawson, he's got the Oasis Project. He's all about climate change adaptation. His strategy is planting kelp with green gravel. There's other...
That's great. I like that.
It's amazing. And so then he has like kelp reforestation, replenishment on his mind all the time. He's in all these meetings. He knows of the countries that are already doing this stuff, like Baja, Ensenada, they do it. Tasmania, there's others. He has this idea of like using decommissioned oil platforms for aquaculture. Like, why tear them down? That's what Montecito people want to do, is just yank them down because they're decommissioned. Well, no, that's an incredible structure.
Yeah.
Use it for what it could be, right? Instead of just blowing it up, right?
Yeah.
He's telling me that kelp sequesters more carbon from the atmosphere than any terrestrial forest could. And it blooms, Nicole. It goes off. Like
I swam through it. It is like cathedrals of just flowy leaves, and the light bounces off the leaves. It's just magical.
Kelp's down 90% from historic levels worldwide. So if we could get that coming back just right here locally, like, of course we should do it. Kelp down here along this coast is amazing. I have a feeling that a lot of this has to do, our issues have to do with the chemical companies, like 100%. Like, we live in this area where the mountains are just meeting the sea. So we don't have urban sprawl. We don't have crazy amounts of agriculture dumping chemical fertilizers,
glyphosate. I was just at Tractor Supply.
And it's for sale.
Yesterday, and there's like tubs of it on the counters, and I'm like, are we all stupid? Like, what's going on here? You might as well just write on the label birth defect fluid.
It's the perfect analogy. This is what Jeff told me. He's like, the analogy is to go to Home Depot and see what they're peddling on all these shelves and how it would just like, you can't get raw milk, right?
Yeah.
But you can go to Home Depot.
But go ahead and buy 60 gallons of glyphosate. No one's going to question you.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all. And I think that would be one of the single best moves we could do, is like completely outlaw, runoff into the waterways.
Yeah.
Like, how is that not hurting the ocean? And yet we as fishermen get demonized for what we do, especially like, I think it's
You're an easy target. This is what these NGOs are so pathetic about, is that they're just going after...
They're bullies.
They're bullies. They're easy target. They're going after easy targets. They don't have the wherewithal, the intelligence, or the dignity to go after the people actually hurting everybody.
It'd be too expensive.
Bayer or Monsanto.
Right.
They have the money to do it. They just don't have the... integrity.
Right. Actually address the problem. What
Yeah.
about how the universities are all getting funded? And that's who's doing all these studies. They just keep doing study after study after study on this stuff.
The
And they won't.
universities are so captured and they have no idea, and they're brainwashing the youth. And it's all part of corporate propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Well, tell me more about Oasis. This is a buddy of yours?
Yeah, Jeff Mawson. I'm not that familiar. What's cool is that we had this talk. Like, I let him know that I was going to get to come and talk to you, and
Nice.
I felt like I could really use this for good, to kind of get a couple key points out there. And he was like, "Oh my gosh, like, please tell her about all this, sequestering of carbon with the kelp." He's saying that, like, basically the stuff that grows and dies off and goes into the deep sinks in the ocean, or like it's like permanent carbon capture. And then he's talking about how we as divers could be hired or funded, maybe even funded by giving us carbon credits.
Yeah.
Because I don't really know how those work, but apparently that's a way we could get funded, if not giving us, a stipend every day for going out there and killing perps.
Or just stop messing with your markets. Like, proper labeling, stop messing with your markets and shutting down, right? Like, we don't have to overcome. Look, I spend an enormous amount of time in carbon credits for regenerative farmers. It sounds like what he's doing, and I've seen some of these kelp projects on the East Coast. Running Tide is a group that I believe I supported at one point, but I was all for this. I was like, carbon capture when I was on the left and a Democrat, and, believed in the climate change narrative as they presented it to us. And I was like, this is amazing. And so then I worked really, really hard to get carbon credits for regenerative farmers. And I just thought, oh, regenerative farming is the best thing ever. I mean, it's truly just magical. It sounds like regenerative fishing, which is what you do. You're a regenerative fisherman.
Regenerative.
Yes, exactly. And then you find the markets that go with it. And amazingly, consumers all want it because it makes us feel good, because it's good product. And it's good for the environment. I was like, this is just a win-win-win across the board. But then I came up against groups like the Gates Foundation, who are like direct air capture, where you just use chemical processes to suck carbon out of the atmosphere and blah, blah, blah. And like, not at all doing anything meaningful with regenerative agriculture. And I kept seeing this from foundation to foundation to foundation. None of these climate people care about real climate disaster mitigation or drawdown. They are doing something else entirely. They're re-engineering our environment, and they're profiting off that process of re-engineering. They're re-engineering our food, and they're profiting off of that. It is the most disingenuous, corrupt, fraudulent, criminal empire. And they've overtaken the climate space. And for really good, people who were like, I'm going to do everything I can to save the environment. If you pick regenerative agriculture, you're not going to get funded. If you pick regenerative fishing, aquaculture, like proper aquaculture, and like kelp, I love the kelp stuff. Nobody's interested in that.
That's why we need billionaires, philanthropists, to just go straight to the source. And how Jeff was saying, he's like, the boots on the ground people, like us divers, just give us money and we'll go start doing it, right? Like, we'll find the necessary, alleyways
Farmers
to do it.
too.
Gunner had to stop growing pork because of all the gnarly red tape that came down on him recently. He was growing like these beautiful hogs, and he was going to slaughter. Oh yeah, we were like so pumped, like, oh, we were gonna get like a really good source of bacon, but like, no, it's like he had to stop because there was just so much new regulation on him, and he couldn't just do it right here, like gorgeous hillsides with all this grass, and those pigs would have been
all the
incredible.
feed
Incredible.
that's available on this coastline. I mean, for listeners, Gunner is a 6th generation Gaviotan. We call this the Gaviota Coast, and it's the families that have been here and have seen season after season, and actually, We're right next to one of the largest organic production sites in the history of California. It's no longer producing, but at one point it was, and it was all organic, no spray, none of that. I mean, there's just so much potential here to turn things around in California.
Monsieur.
Yeah.
Monsieur's family.
Well, even before that, there was a organic commune.
Oh, really?
In the 70s, 60s.
Was it Starburst or Sunburst?
Sunburst.
Sunburst.
Sunburst. And they were producing an enormous amount of food.
It's so cool.
Completely organically. So we have the ability here in California to do that. The problem is that our politics, California is completely captured by Bill Gates style climate narrative. And we have some of the best universities, and they're all captured by, agrochemical, fake meat, big energy.
Mm-hmm.
They're all captured. Every single one of them is captured. And then the VCs are now capturing our government because they're invested in this stuff too. The venture capitalists. So like the tech venture capitalists have captured so much of our food industry with fake meats, fake fishes. And so we're up against that too. So when you have these common sense solutions, like, working with family fishermen to mitigate sea urchin overgrowth, it 100% gets looked over because so many of these institutions are brainwashed. And, but we got to keep speaking up. We got to keep calling it out. And we got to call it what it is, which is fraud.
Mm-hmm.
It's fraud.
100%.
Okay. So tell me about the craziest experience you've had at sea.
I've seen a few white sharks in my day, but not underwater. Thank God, and
yeah.
But, just seeing those big, magnificent apex predators is just on the top of the list. But my favorite is the killer whales. They're just so
You've
cool.
seen killer whales,
and I leave them alone. I don't even try to go look after them. I just like
orcas.
Orcas.
I've never seen.
And
I've
seen a mama showing its baby how to kill a seal, how to hunt and actually take it down, and then eventually it got ate, and just because it disappeared. But I stayed way back. I tried not to interfere, right?
Yeah.
My wife was bummed because I'm like, look, there's an orca. She's like, oh no, I was videoing. Oh, that's right. And she's like, why didn't you stop and look at it? And I was like, just kind of drove by it. And I saw it. She's like, that was a horrible video. And I was like, well, yeah. Anyway, they're my favorite. I see whales constantly. Seals. That's an issue. We have a really hard. The seals are really hammering a lot of fish, and it's like, I guess there's nothing you can do to a seal. I'm not sure if they're endangered or not, but there's just too many. There's so many seals. Like, we didn't used to see them mid-channel and stuff. And I guess they just sit and lay in wait in certain river mouths where the salmon are coming up, and they just decimate them. So that's
there's
one
not
thing.
A lot eating the seals, right?
Yeah, there's not. There's the orca. I think they've kind of probably gone away from having to just there were certain orcas that only ate salmon, and I think they're starting to pick away at the seals now too. I mean, I hope they do, because but I could go off on tangents all kinds, so I'll stick to the really exciting stuff that you were asking about.
Yeah.
And just big waves, really large waves in this area.
Yeah.
Like when I'll be fishing lobster, I'll go out when
with the winter swell.
In the winter swells, you just see some of these giant days. It gives you the chills.
I mean, I see them from shore,
Uh-huh.
and I can't believe there's boats out there.
Yeah, and we're out there. Well,
that's crazy.
I'm in a big radin, and they like to surf. Like, you can kind of ride these. You can ride those boats down a wave. You're trying not to be on.
Radin's a local boat maker, right?
Don Radin, his dad. It's a whole family lineage of incredible boat builders.
Cool.
And they built them just to go across the channel and come back, and especially coming down swell, they ride really well. And so if they're powered right, you can outrun the waves, or at least just stay right on them. So that's fun. Used to surf a lot out there, but There's one particular surf spot that kind of got overrun with white sharks recently.
Recently?
Yeah, in the last like 10 years.
When you say white shark, you mean great white
Great
shark?
white shark.
Oh, God. There was just that huge one off the coast of Santa Monica the other day. Did you see that video?
They're everywhere. Tuna fishing, that's super exciting. Big
Yeah.
150-pound tunas and stuff.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Just the day-to-day is probably more exciting to most people than I'll give it credit for, but it's
Yeah.
keeps me in
No,
the game.
I commend you for coming on a podcast, like getting, the regenerative farmers are starting to come podcast more, and there's some famous ones, and they're getting really good at it. But, the reality is when you're on a fishing boat, you're not really talking. You're not talking to anybody most of the time, right?
Well, you have a crew guy or a second diver and a crew guy, or lobster season, one crew guy, and yeah, you have to be, you communicate as best you can, but there's times where you don't really say anything all, maybe in a day. You kind of just maybe chit chat a little bit, but maybe it's really rough and you're just kind of holding on, and you just kind of work through your day. Sometimes we're on our feet for like 12 hours, 14 hours, like from start to finish.
What are fishermen saying about the runoff from the LA fires?
Well, we had a huge domoic acid event. And I mean, that's why I get into like the whole chemical companies and like they're seeking for immunity, seeking immunity. I think that's wrong. So then, yeah, there was all that fire. The fire was huge. There was just all that toxic soot in the creeks, in the waterways. It ended up on the beach. We had a rain event. It all pushed out into Santa Monica Bay, and they did nothing. Karen Bass, she's a fraud. Gavin Newsom, full fraud. You can't have these kind of leaders and expect to like have prosperity and clean waters and salmon.
Healthy fish.
No, you can't. You got to get rid of those kind of people. And you have to get like somebody who's for the people, who want to, uplift all of us and our aspirations. And
rather than creating fake race wars. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So the fishermen, we all got, I mean, there was so much domoic acid this year. There were so many seal.
Is that what causes the red tides?
It's usually it's fertilizer and stuff, but I don't know. Like, I don't know what could have caused the domoic acid to go off, or was it domoic acid, or was it just a ton of toxicity that washed out into the ocean?
Yeah, it just hit a threshold. I mean, I walked by a bird that was acting super weird, and I was told it was poisoned.
Yeah.
I mean, this bird was out of it. It was trying to get to shore. It could barely swim.
Okay, so it was a swimming bird. It was a cormorant.
It was a cormorant, yeah.
And it had domoic acid. They're one of the first species that I know that get hit by that, because it's a buildup of that toxic algae in the bait fish that they eat so much of.
Is that what's happening?
Yeah, and so that cormorant probably had some sort of a poisoning, but I just don't know like why the domoic acid went off so hard this year, especially down south after the fires.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not that guy. I don't know the scientific.
But you guys see it. You see the correlation. You see the timing of it.
Yeah, and it was eerily right after that fire and all those rains. So and it's the years where it doesn't rain where like we have clean water, obviously.
Yeah.
And so then when you get a rain right after a fire like that, and then there's all these firsthand, Instagram posts of people just going, look at this beach, and they're just like tilling the sand. They're not cleaning it. They're just tilling it back under. And there's just like, it looks like a huge bonfire, and they're just pushing all that ash and debris around.
Rather than barreling it, burying
it.
They
put some like little, barriers, like water barriers up. They just blew out,
Oh, it's pathetic. Okay, last question for you. You've grown up here your whole life. You've been out on the water. You're outside pretty much all day, every day. Geoengineering, weather modification. Is it happening?
I wanted to come here and tell you today that, wow, the sky was super blue and I haven't seen chemtrails in a long time. Today was the day. I looked outside and I went, oh, before this haze of smoke blew in, it was trail after trail right above my house.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's happening and they admit to it. And and it shouldn't happen either.
Well, it's certainly not helping the fires. If anything, the fires are just so fueled up in such an insane way right now.
Well, don't you think it's actually supporting the fires, if not like adding fuel? I mean, how do you say that, yeah, we're spreading all these chemicals into the air and like aren't they
Well,
flammable?
Santa Barbara has an active cloud seeding contract. It's on their website. So I don't see any rain. It definitely has an increased moisture. So what is it doing?
Yeah, I don't know. And then, all those chemicals that they spew, they're finding all these, historically super clean water sources tainted with it, like up in the Sierras and stuff,
Yeah.
aluminum and barium and all this stuff. So
bizarre.
I don't think it's a conspiracy anymore. It's the facts that's what they do. And some days it's just horrible to look at. It's just blotting out the sky when it was just like, I see it.
And
When I'm at the back of the islands, I see them start it up. They don't run it the whole time. They're not just flying through the air like cruising with that thing, billowing the whole time. They start it right where I can see the plane come into view. And then that streak through the sky, and it happens in a lot of the same places. And then that just goes along and starts to disperse. And then by the time it's hovering over LA, it's thick. And then there's another backup line, and then another backup line. And it's blatant for me to just see that happening out over those islands.
Right, because you can see the horizon. You know when it's starting and stopping.
I won't even see the plane.
You'll see the proximity.
I just all of a sudden see a chemtrail start up.
Yeah.
And so that's when I'm like, wow,
And it wasn't really like that when you were a kid.
No.
You've never, I mean, like, when this is like, this is new. This is not
this
something.
This is like the last 15 years. It's really got,
years.
Okay. I can tell you so many times as a kid, just having like an appreciation for those ultra blue days. And we used to have them all the time. And I'll think we're going to have one. All of a sudden it's just like chemmed out. You're just, whoa, where's this coming from? Why they got to do it today? There's not even chance of rain. And then they just blot out the sky. But I think it's like becoming so well known that they're doing it less. Like, I think the public knowledge of it and like that disapproval, it's really kind of slowed it down, I think.
You bring the receipts.
How do you bring the receipts?
I just published a whole article on some of the receipts of geoengineering and weather modification. And it's literally on Santa Barbara County's website too. It's like, I don't know if it still is after we shared it, but it's, there's receipts for a lot of these contracts. Unfortunately, they're not all public. A lot of them are, special federal government projects, but that we don't necessarily have access to. Some of them are DoD projects. But it's a big problem. I think the empirical, just trusting your gut when you're like, as a kid, I didn't see this. It is happening all the time now. Taking pictures, explaining this is not what the sky looked like when I was a child. That stuff's really valuable. And it was surfers like that really made me look at geoengineering, because surfers are like, it wasn't like this when I was a kid. I've been surfing this wave since I was 5. I'm 45 now. Sometimes they'll be like, I'm 65 now. And, they were the ones that really pushed me to look at it. Because when you're in the water, you're just sitting there under the sky all day long, looking at the horizon. And you start to understand the truth, and you can't doubt it.
It's undoubtable. And then also you see the punches that the governments are pulling all around the world, like Bali right now. Like they're just mowing down those beautiful sacred cliff sides, and they're just putting in some road right in front of like one of the most world-renowned surf spots, Uluwatu.
Yeah.
And then Pavones, Costa Rica.
Oh, I've been watching that. They just
captured that town, and they're just kicking people out. They like tore down the store and the school, and just like they're booting people.
That's
I
really
guess some
sad.
guy was in jail and he owned the land, and then the government was like, well, I guess it's ours now, or he sold it or something, and to the government.
I love that region. I don't love surfing lefts. Pavones is a left, but that whole region's amazing. So, well, Miles, thanks so much. This was an awesome conversation. And where can people find more your fish, like even locally? Where can we find your product and know that we're eating real Santa Barbara uni?
So real Santa Barbara uni, to the best of my knowledge, come on, Ted. He's MMP, which is Maruhide
Yeah.
Marine Products.
Okay.
And I think I'm wearing the shirt. I am. And that's where you could get like
The real stuff.
really good trays of uni.
Nice.
And then I sell, I wholesale my rockfish to Santa Barbara Fish Market and to Get Hooked.
Okay.
And then sometimes Stephanie's Fish. There's others, but
Well, cool.
like if you want to reach out to me, I'm Open Ocean Seafood. I'm on Instagram, and I'll do like a fish share with you.
Nice.
You know? Yeah, I'd love to do that for you guys. You know, I'll do it all by hand, and
well, I want to come fishing with you one of these days too.
you gotta go diving.
Yeah, I want to go diving.
Mhm.
All right, cool. Thanks, Miles.
Thanks, Nicole.